What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear Podcast. And today I want to talk about the 2022 season of QB1 Justin Fields and talk about the narrative that is surrounding him because the hate is getting out of hand. The Justin Fields narrative is getting ridiculously funny over the last couple of months, with Justin Fields getting more recognition by the national media, NFL, CBS, and also PFF posting more about him. The people also tend to more dislike him and think that he's overrated, especially as a passer. He's getting the Lamar Jackson treatment that he had a 1,000-yard rushing season, and that he is a quarterback that is basically a running back and can pass. Today, I'm here to look at the core of Justin Fields' 2022 season. We're going to take a deep dive into the tape of Justin Fields in 2022, and I want to show you guys that he progressively got better in 2022, especially as a passer, and that he is very much flying under the radar for 2023. And for that, I also want to give you an outlook for 2023 by the end of today's video. So to give a better outlook for Justin Fields and what he did in 2022, we first of all have to look at the stats, because that is what most people see that don't watch tape. This is where everybody looks at first, looking at the stats that he had in 2022 and judging based off of that. But also with the stats, there's small little wrinkles that can give you even more information about why Justin Fields played the way he did in 2022. So now, starting off with the stats, we want to start off looking at the basic passing stats that Justin Fields had in 2022, which is obviously the reason why so many people hate on him and say that he is so overrated and such a bad passer. Now, in 15 games last year, he had 2,242 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and also had a completion percentage of 60.4% and was sacked 55 times overall last year in 2022. Now, overall, those are not perfect numbers, not great numbers overall. Only 2,200 passing yards is not a lot, and also 60% completion could definitely be better. But when we actually looked at some advanced passing stats, we can see that one aspect of Justin Fields' completion percentage being that low is that he had to deal with 16 drops by his wide receivers, which equals about 5% of his total attempts. That means when we adjust his completion percentage, we actually get, and count them as completions actually, those drops, we could get a completion percentage up to 65.4%, which would obviously be a better number. So if those drops didn't exist, his completion percentage would, for example, be a lot better, which obviously doesn't show up in the stat sheet. Also, he was sacked 55 times, as I said earlier as well, and was pressured on 26.9% of his throws when we compare that to a player that has a better offensive line around him. For example, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. He had a stat of 18.3% pressured on his throws, which is obviously a significant difference. Now, when we look at the basic rushing stats, we all know Justin Fields had a phenomenal rushing season, one of the best in NFL history for a quarterback, with overall 160 attempts, 1,143 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and 7.1 yards per average, which is so damn insane for a quarterback. And we obviously know that this was his big strength overall, but that makes him combine 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think that's nowhere near a bad stat line for a quarterback. But obviously, now we have to question ourselves, why did he run so much? And why was his passing performance still pretty poor and is viewed so poorly at first glance in 2022? And to get a better understanding of 2022 and why Justin Fields played the way he did, we have to first of all look at his supporting cast. And the supporting cast for 2022, we all know, was not good at all. We want to compare that today with the 2023 roster and see how it changed for Justin Fields, leading then to the conclusion by the end of the video. But right here, when we look at it, we have wide receivers like Darnell Mooney, who was the number 1 wide receiver last year at the start of the season, Byron Pringle, EQ St. Brown, Amir Smith-Marset, Velus Jones Jr., and Dante Pettis. And to be honest, guys, this is an absolute terrible wide receiver core. Darnell Mooney got hurt later in the season as well, so at some point, players like Amir Smith-Marset, Byron Pringle, EQ St. Brown, and Dante Pettis, specifically those two guys, the last two guys, were main factors and the wide receivers that were in the field the most. So the supporting cast was obviously poor, and that also led to very poor performances of Justin Fields. How was he supposed to pass the football if those guys could never, or mostly never, get open by themselves besides Darnell Mooney? Mooney was the only guy that consistently could get open, but he was obviously getting locked up because people could, or teams could, focus on him and not on the other guys because they were no threat to any man coverage, which was definitely the case in 2022. Then for the offensive line, allowed 55 sacks. Braxton Jones, left tackle, was a rookie at that time. Cody Whitehair is not the best anymore. Lucas Patrick was really horrible, but due to him being injured, Sam Mustipher started most of the year. He was really bad too. Right guard Tevin Jenkins was really solid, and then right tackle was a mess too, with Larry Borum, Riley Reeve, and Alex Leatherwood all sticking in at some points of the season. So the offensive line was really a mess. Justin Fields was under a lot of pressure, and the wide receivers couldn't get open. Now, running back wise, David Montgomery was really solid. Khalil Herbert, and then also tight end Cole Kmet had a phenomenal season, but the supporting cast was definitely not there, and nothing truly helped Justin Fields to be better in that aspect of the game. He really had to earn it himself. Now, when we compare it to 2023, things have obviously changed. Now we're looking at a wide receiver core that Justin Fields can definitely work with. Chase Claypool, who came to the team later in the season, really had a tough time to find his footing in the team because he obviously had to catch up to the entire playbook, and I feel like this is now his true first chance with the Chicago Bears. I really don't count last year in that much, but now we got DJ Moore, a wide receiver 1 from the Carolina Panthers. We got Darnell Mooney, one of the better wide receiver 2s in the entire NFL, in my opinion, and then as a big slot or wherever you want to line him up, Chase Claypool as well. We drafted Tyler Scott, which is a great deep threat option to complement that offense. EQ St. Brown is now potentially wide receiver number 5, which is great because he was pretty much the most productive one last season, especially after Mooney got injured. He was the most productive wide receiver, and he knows the offense inside out. He was on a very cheap deal retained with the Bears, so I really like this option as wide receiver 5. Then you got Velus Jones Jr., who you can use on different reverses and quick passes to give him the ball into his hands. He's great after the catch. And then you still got Dante Pettis around, who's also a pretty damn solid backup who knows the system. But those guys that were starters last year really went down a couple of tiers, and now the tier 1 starters look really good for the Bears offense. As for the offensive line, they really redid the entire right side. Tevin Jenkins is now from right guard to left guard, and on right guard we got Nate Davis, who's a phenomenal young guard from Tennessee that we got in free agency, and we invested a first-round pick to Darnell Wright out of Tennessee to secure the right side of the offensive line. So the O-line should be a lot more improved compared to last year. Cody Whitehair should be a better fit at center than at guard, and Braxton Jones should develop well after his first pretty solid year as well as a 5th-round left tackle starter. So I'm really confident into the offensive line. And then also for the other positions, we added Robert Tonyan to the tight end room, which adds another great passing weapon for Justin Fields. The running back room has changed drastically. Khalil Herbert is now the lead back for now. We drafted Roschon Johnson, who's an absolute baller. He should be really good in the long run. Deontay Foreman, really productive back from last year. And Travis Homer from Seattle was signed as well. He's a great pass blocking back as well as a receiving threat. So overall, the roster has changed drastically for the Chicago Bears over the last couple of months, and this is a great sign for Justin Fields to get better in 2023, and this is one reason why I believe he will be so much better and why last year was so tough for him. But to be honest, not everything can be blamed on the supporting cast for Justin Fields. He also made his fair share of mistakes, and that's why I want to start off with the actual bad of 2022. And first of all, for 2022, we have to understand that it was basically another rookie season under a new head coach, a new regime, and a lot of new players on the squad. And Justin Fields was really in a progress situation with constant growing pains. But Justin already worked through the season on those couple of things and developed in 2022 pretty nicely. But there were still things that he has to and had to work on. First of all, it was reading the defense and identifying coverage and staying patient in the pocket. There's times where you really feel like Justin Fields comes off of a read too quickly and that he likes to check down too much. When we look at, for example, a play against the Houston Texans, which was early in the season, you saw that he had Cole Kmet and Dante Pettis open, Cole Kmet being his first read and Dante Pettis the second read, but he just didn't hang in there long enough. He just threw the ball away, and yes, there was pressure in that situation, but you want your franchise quarterback that should be a passer to hang in there, throw the football, and deliver an accurate ball within seconds, and he had time to get rid of the football, but just didn't decide to do so. I don't know what it is, if he doesn't trust himself in all situations, but this was one play where it was definitely evident that he was not coming off of his reads cleanly and threw the ball away too quickly. And then another one where it was evident was against the Green Bay Packers, where he had Cole Kmet in the flats open, yes, but when you look at the play, his first read was an in-breaker about 10-15 yards deep to Chase Claypool, and it was his first read. You see him even looking at him, staring him down almost, and he gets off of that read too quickly. I would have loved him to be more patient there and throw with anticipation, because Chase Claypool gets open for an easy first down in that situation, but decides to go with Cole Kmet into the flats and decided to go with the easier yards there. But it's things like that where I would love to see him get a bit better with, to throw with more anticipation and get to his reads properly. And then one big other con that you could definitely point out for Justin Fields in 2022 was that he was inaccurate at times, especially earlier in the season. He struggled a bit with the ball placement against the Texans. Once again, same game early on, I think week 3. He was playing against the Texans. They were in a Tampa 2 defense, and he really tried to sneak in a seam ripper to Darnell Mooney, but the ball just absolutely sails wide and is being picked off. And there you saw his inaccuracy, just making not a great read there anyway, because the Mike linebacker was dropping back really fast, and the 2 safeties played the seam route too. So he basically threw in triple coverage, and it was an easy pick for Jalen Petre in that situation. And then also another one in the legendary Thursday night game where they scored 7 points against the Commanders. He also had a deep curl route to Darnell Mooney where he had Mooney open, but just straight up misfired completely to Darnell Mooney. So there were some situations where he did misfire in some games, and it was definitely evident that he had to get better at those situations. But we'll look at some clips where he actually showed some accuracy, and especially later on how he developed as a passer. Also, we could say that over the entire season, he definitely tried to do too much at some points, and also at times he was too hesitant. He has to trust himself a bit more with some passes because he is that talented, and there's definitely some things that he has to get better at. But with that being said, we actually want to jump into the fun part and look at the good of Justin Fields and what he did so well in 2022. And this category will completely focus on why, for me, 2022 was a great learning curve for Justin Fields, and why I think he has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. I'm not kidding. And in this category, we specifically, once again, want to focus on his passing, proving the doubters wrong, that he actually has a great arm. And I think we all know that Justin Fields was a great runner, so we're not focusing too much on that today. Now, for his overall performance, what can we say? What did he do so well in 2022 as a passer? First of all, his understanding for pre-snap leverage really expanded throughout the season. He saw quick hitches fast when the DBs were playing off, and also there were glimpses of quick understanding of post-snap adjustments that he had to make, which was great too. And then what he just really displayed overall in that season, despite the poor receiving cast that he had around him, was just his special arm talent. He made some hilarious throws, was really accurate at times, especially later on in the season, and made some big plays. And also his pocket presence developed really nice over that entire season. But with that being said, we want to start off with the first big point that I want to talk about today with the good category, which is his special and big time throws. Justin Fields has the ability to really make special and incredible throws on the football field that not a lot of quarterbacks can do in the NFL. And he has really the ability to place the ball where only his wide receiver can get it, and he will also throw guys open. One example against the Minnesota Vikings, where he had a slot fade to Darnell Mooney, which was pretty much open but also well covered at the same time, and in that play, he had time in the pocket, which is obviously crucial, set his feet, and then fires a perfect back shoulder ball with good air under it and just gives his wide receivers a chance here, which I absolutely love. And specifically, that deep ball accuracy was something that got progressively better throughout the entire season. And what he really did with those throws was that he threw guys open and made them adjust to certain footballs and gave them a shot to actually be open in their own right, even though they didn't do it themselves, and naturally separated from defenders in that way. So that was great for him to actually show that ability. And now with new receivers coming in that should probably get open by themselves, especially DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool, I feel like he's going to have a great time throwing the football and will have a lot of fun in 2023. Then another play against the Atlanta Falcons where they were in a really heavy formation with two tight ends, a two tight end set, and only two pass catchers were on routes, and he improvised with Monty on the check shoot, which led him then upfield and delivered an absolute dime on the run in a very tight window, finding David Montgomery down the field on the run. Absolute strike by Justin Fields. Love that throw a lot. And then also against the Packers, where this play for me totally embodies his development over the entire season. It was the second game against the Packers, and the Packers bring pressure with a stunt, and Justin Fields keeps his eyes downfield, doesn't take off, even though there's a huge hole that he could take off through, looks off the defenders, throws a perfect crossbody ball to find Dante Pettis late over the field, and that's a play that totally displays it for me. Like earlier on in that season, he would have taken a hit, would have scrambled by himself, tried to make something by himself, but at this point, he keeps his eyes downfield, scrambles, and then finds him late with an insane throw across his body, which is not easy to do for an NFL quarterback even, so really loved what he did there. But it's not only the special or big-time throws, it's also the more automatic plays that you have to hit as an NFL quarterback. And this is what probably most people did criticize about Justin Fields, his accuracy overall, but his accuracy improved heavily throughout the season. We got some plays against the Washington Commanders where he dropped a ball in the bucket between three defenders to Cole Kmet, which is an absolute beautiful throw to find his tight end there. Or another example against Atlanta, where he ripped a ball to the seam of Cole Kmet and giving him just once again a chance to make a big play, insane one-hand catch, but the ball placement is perfect in that spot for him. And also another one against the Eagles, which I love, which just displays his pre-snap reading ability, where he had shown the understanding of the defense and then post-snap adjusted quickly to it as well. So the Eagles in that situation bring pressure and blitz their nickel on the strong side, and Justin Fields recognizes that pre-snap and quickly adjusts to it post-snap and dumps it off to Montgomery into the flats, and it's in for a touchdown. Those are small little things that you maybe don't recognize while you're watching the game, but the way he saw that, how quickly that nickel was blitzing, and he just fires it out there into the flats for a touchdown. That's a big play by Justin Fields, even though the throw is not as impressive to many people. So for me overall, he had showed that he can deliver accurate balls in any given situation from every angle on the field, which was a big part of his game that was overshadowed by the negative plays and losses by the Bears in 2022. And then one other sign for growth in 2022 was definitely for me his pocket awareness. And with his pocket awareness, he definitely showed that he can extend plays, that he has feel for the game and the feel also for rushers that are coming in, especially also from the blind side, and just his ability to evade pressure and keeping his eyes down the field. One beautiful example against Atlanta was where he has tons of time in the pocket, stays patient, no one gets open, like crazy that nobody got open that late on the field, and then as soon as the pressure hits, he just moves around, dances around, eyes all the way down the field, and then he finds EQ late for a quick little first down play right there. And I just love it how he's patient in the pocket, waits for his chance to develop, doesn't necessarily need to take off because we need to play here for a first down, dumps it off to EQ after he finds him late, and that was one of the better plays I saw from him all season long when it comes to pocket awareness. And then another one as well against the Green Bay Packers, where once again showing tons of growth, a hole opened over the middle after the pressure, Justin steps up, but instead of scrambling and running for himself, he finds Cole Kmet late on the left side for a big completion, and this is just once again a huge mark for him and how he developed in 2022, not running all the time, but using that threat that he could run as an advantage for players stepping up, not being in their coverage positions, and then finding somebody late for a big chunk play. Love that play by Justin Fields as well. And even though if we consider all the things that he excelled at in the passing game in 2022, we are not even considering his insane running ability. Just quickly about that, I mean, Justin Fields as a scrambler was totally insane in 2022. His scrambles and improvised runs were completely unthinkable. Like, he made some insane plays against the Packers where he juked off Nixon and ran for a touchdown. He ran away from Akuda. Like, so many insane plays that he made in 2022. It was absolutely phenomenal. But it was not only that, also on QB power plays and design quarterback runs, he did phenomenal reading blocks well, being shifty, and getting it in, for example, against Atlanta into the end zone, following his blockers, being patient as a runner. And if we consider all of that I just talked about today, what can we expect from Justin Fields in 2023? And for me in 2023, I mean, with now new weapons available, he should improve in his passing even more than he did in 2022. And he showed a lot of progress in 2022. As I mentioned throughout the video, he got better with his accuracy, with understanding what happens on defense, with his pocket presence. That's all things that he had to grow, and he did in 2022, despite having one of the worst supporting casts in the entire NFL, looking at the offensive line and especially the wide receiver core. So expecting 2023 to be better from that perspective, from a supporting cast perspective, I feel like his stock as a passer should increase by that alone. But not only that, with his running ability, I think he will be a really big threat in the NFC for other teams to face. And even though I think the running will be a part of his game, but it should honestly slow down a little bit in 2023, providing his health, first of all. So making sure that he stays on the field longer because he missed a couple of games in 2022. But also, I think it makes it even scarier for defenses if he doesn't use all of his rushing ability, just uses it as a threat and then finding people late, just like that play against the Packers where he found Cole Kmet. And also, he has the options now. He can throw. He doesn't have to run and lay his body on the line to win football games. I think it makes it easier for him and also Luke Getsy to open up the playbook even more and give him a calculated shot at running the football, not Justin Fields being forced due to pressure by the opposing defense. So overall for me, the Justin Fields narrative is ridiculous right now, and I'm confident that the quarterback one for the Chicago Bears will take the NFL by storm in 2023, and I can't wait and report to you guys what happens in training camp over the next couple of weeks. But with that being said, that's the end of the episode, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think of Justin Fields, how he played in 2022. What do you think how he will be in 2023 and beyond? Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.